Texas was founded by illegal American immigrants in the country of Mexico fighting for their right as illegals to own slaves. You see, after the Mexican War of Independence from colonial Spain that ended in 1821, the country of Mexico included 6 current U.S. states and portions of 3 others, and that included the entire state of Texas. The newly formed Mexican government initially encouraged legal immigration, and one of those very earliest immigrants was Stephen Austin, who is now considered the father of Texas. Austin had to renounce his American citizenship and become a citizen of Mexico in order to become a colonist, and he initially brought 300 families to Mexico in order to start his colony. But the land he chose to settle on was inconveniently occupied by the native tribe, the Karankawa, and almost immediately upon arrival, Austin started to kill off this tribe in order to clear the land. This all started with the Skull Creek Massacre in 1823, when 19 natives were killed and their village was plundered, and by 1825, Austin had issued an order to pursue and kill on sight any Karankawa who was found, so that by 1860, the entire tribe had either been killed off or enslaved. And this issue of slavery was the real sticking point between the colonists and the Mexican government, because almost all of Austin's colonists were farmers from the south. Of the initial 1,790 residents, almost a quarter of them, 443, were slaves. And the success of Austin's colony on the slave economy of legal immigrants led to an absolute flood of illegal immigrants that started to come across the border in order to snatch up unoccupied land that simply wasn't available in the rest of the South. And just like Austin, all of these illegal immigrants also brought their slaves with them in contradiction to the policies of the Mexican government, who repeatedly tried over and over and over again to stem this tide of slavery. In 1823, Mexico forbade the purchase or sale of any type of person and immediately freed the children of slaves upon the age of 14. In 1827, the Mexican state that encompassed Texas passed a new law that outlawed the introduction of additional slaves regardless of where they came from, and freed all the children of slaves immediately upon their birth. And finally, in 1829, Mexico actually abolished slavery of all kinds, but wrote an exception of 1 year for the Texas colonists so that they could continue to have their slaves until 1830. And when the time ran out on this exception, the American colonists found a way around it, because both legal and illegal immigrants, rather than having slaves, decided to have all of their slaves sign indentured servitude documents, bonding them to their slave owners for the rest of their lives, essentially continuing the practice. And this continuous back and forth on this issue between the immigrants and the Mexican government caused tensions to rise until eventually there were several small skirmishes on the issue that occurred in the early 1830s. And this all started to come to a head in 1833 when General Santa Anna was elected the president of Mexico, and just 1 year later in 1834 declared himself a dictator. This led to the rebellion of several Mexican states, and after Santa Anna had put down the rebellion in the Mexican state of Zacatecas, he turned his attention to the colonists in the state of Texas. And by 1835, Texas was no longer paying taxes to the country of Mexico and was ignoring all immigration and slavery laws. They also raised an army comprised of both illegal and legal migrants in order to fight the federal government of Mexico. And after several early victories against this army of migrants, Santa Anna was eventually defeated at the Battle of San Jacinto and was captured, and the independent country, the Republic of Texas, was formed. And paramount in the constitution of this brand new country was making slavery legal again, but not only making slavery legal, but also immediately transferring all indentured servants to immediate slave status. It also did not allow slaves to be freed by their masters unless it was approved by the Congress of Texas, and also removing all rights of any person from African or Native American descent, regardless of whether they were slaves or freedmen. And the rights removed included the right to vote, the right to own land, and even the right to marry who you chose. And all of this happened because the legal American immigrants believed they had the right to own slaves in a foreign country.